Welcome to NJCA Hot Hoops. Kenya Landers and Dan Olson. Kenya, this has gone by like, wow, where did it start? Our last show of the year, we're upon national tournament time. In fact, the Division II national tournament is going on as we speak.
Yep.
And I'm here in Missouri watching it for a couple of days, so I get a chance to see all of those teams at the Division II tournament, and it's been good so far. It's been fun basketball.
Sure of
But
it.
man, we got a lot to cover today.
Yep.
We've got two special guests too today on our hot seat.
Absolutely.
In former Trinity Valley Lady Card Keuna Flax, a former national tournament MVP,
The truth.
and the one and only Michael Landers of Trinity Valley fame that I think you probably know a little bit.
Yep.
And so we'll talk to them later here in the show. But just to go get a rewind of what we've got from the past week, we had region tournaments around the country, and some of them were interesting, to say the least. Okay. So number one, Hutch remains number one and the number one seed going into the tournament. I think they're 33-0 now.
Yep.
But they got tested at Butler County at home.
Sure did.
Only won by 2. But Kiki Smith, still Kiki Smith. In a kind of a defensive battle type of a game. Kiki had 13 points. Monet Duffy had 12 and 8 rebounds. But it was one of those value possession games, where it got one maybe on the 3-point line and at the free throw line for Hutchinson. And they seem to be masters at that half court execution thing to get them over the top in tight games,
Yep. That was an interesting game because Hutch has been putting up some points.
Yeah.
So you can tell that game, that Butler was just very, very strategic and very, very intentional about changing the pace of the game.
Yeah.
And like you said, they won by 2, but all you need is 1.
Yeah. And they made a run at them now. They made the best run, I think, of anybody the whole year on Hutch.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll get back to the tournament here as we move forward in the show. But Region 5 was a battle too. We had Clarendon upended McLennan by 4.
Yeah.
And that knocks McLennan out of the national tournament. They didn't get in.
Yep.
And they had a good year. They were a top 10 ranked team for some of the year in the poll. So tough to get out of this region. It was a battle as we continue to move forward on that. South Plains gets beat by Collin. The misconsistency, Wyetta Jennings had 23. Then she throws in 17 and 10 rebounds against New Mexico, beats New Mexico by 9. And then they beat Odessa to win that region, 66-61. She has 21 more. That's a nice player, this young lady that can really play from New Zealand. She's a nice guard. I was in Florida for their region the other day. And
Florida, how was that?
Yeah, it was nice, can't complain, and good surroundings there in Niceville at Northwest Florida State. They do a great job in hosting that region tournament. And they were on all 8 cylinders. They ran through a couple of the opponents that they had, Eastern Florida State being one of them, but then they finished off Gulf Coast 63-59. Gulf Coast a little injury riddled, I think, going into that game, where they're having to, kind of nurse some injuries. But Maya Peerfax, a really smooth shooting guard for Northwest Florida State. She's a California product. She dropped 17 in that win for them. And Aaliyah Bartholomew, who's a recent commitment to Central Florida, led Gulf Coast with 19, had 5 threes in that game. But watching those games down there in Florida, Northwest Florida State really was clicking unlike the last 2 years in their region tournament where they were they weren't their normal self, even though they won the national championship last year, but they're clicking now. Then of course, Trinity Valley, we go over to that region 14. They fell to Blinn, who's, beaten Trinity during the year. And Blinn was kind of like one of those teams where you got all kinds of options, and they had 5 players in double figures in that win.
Yep.
April Edwards for Trinity Valley. I don't know if we really talked a lot about her, but we've always mentioned about Trinity this year of having good guard play, and Liddy Mwamba, and now they've gotten a couple of recent additions to their team from reinstatement to injury and all that type of thing. But April Edwards put up 37 on Blinn in a losing effort, and she's a freshman. That kid can hoop.
Yeah.
So our hosts now up in Casper, Wyoming, they're coming. They're going to be there, of course, and they won 81-69 over Northeastern Colorado in their region final. And they had 4 players in double figures for Casper. So it's always a committee thing with Casper, a well-coached team. And so that kind of recaps it. But then here's what happens at Salt Lake Community College, all right? They're playing Utah State Eastern, all right? Utah State's up with like 18 seconds to go. They're up, I think, 3 maybe. They got 6 players on the floor, and nobody saw it. And then they tried to fix the problem, and nothing happened. So, yeah, that's disappointing.
So many questions. I have so many questions, but I won't.
I don't even know where to begin.
Me either.
But my heart goes out to Salt Lake because they had a nice team. They had a national tournament level team. And, they're not going to be appearing in Casper, so, but College of Southern Idaho is because they won that region. So, taking a moment to talk about the Division II tournament here, there's some kids that can play here in Joplin, Missouri.
No doubt.
Iowa Western played last night against Parkland, Illinois, won by 14, but it was a guard-dominating performance by 2 players. McKenna Minter, who had started her career at Seton Hall, and has kind of, gone through the COVID thing and had a redshirt year and all that sort of thing, but I think she hit about 30. And then her teammate in the backcourt, Shannon Niles, I think she may have had like 60 of their 88 was from their backcourt, So fun game to watch, And Mesa won the nightcap game. And one of the better guards that I've seen in a while, Jada Brooks, San Diego State transfer, who's now headed to UC Irvine. She is a legitimate backcourt leader, love her game, communicator, teammate, unselfish, can make plays, so fun to watch here so far this next 2 days here in Joplin. So we'll see who wins it. Yeah.
Who are you predicting that's going to come out on top in Joplin?
Well, we still haven't seen Kirkwood play. We haven't seen Johnson County play yet. They're in day 2 now. They're coming up. So, and those are 2 in Rock Valley. Those are 2 or 3 of the top seeded teams. So I think the parity, like we've talked about,
it's hard to,
it's the same thing here. It's no different, and so it's going to be a real crapshoot as we move forward, So, look, when we come back, we're going to talk about the national tournament. We're going to talk about the teams that got in, the newbies, the old standbys, that type of thing. When we come back at NJCA Hot Hoops.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
And we're back. NJCA Hot Hoops, Kenya. Let's talk about who's in the national tournament, who got in, some new schools that are playing for the first time, or some that have been on a long hiatus. One of them being Connors State. Now, if you're any abnormal fan, I guess, to JUCO and just been indoctrinated to JUCO basketball for like ever, you'd know Connors State was a mainstay. They were always there, and they would make runs at it, And well, they're back, and the best team out of Oklahoma in that region.
Back. Welcome back.
Yeah, and Hatiana Relaford, a wing player for them, a sophomore. She's their motor. She makes this team go. She got a nice game. They got a nice little point guard too, Kerrigan Hill. Be interesting to see how they do. These other teams that we've kind of talked about a little bit in recent shows, East Georgia State makes I believe their first ever appearance.
That's so exciting.
Yeah,
so
it's
exciting
cool
for them.
For the players, for sure. They got out of that region in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
They upended South Georgia Tech, and they're out their way to Casper. So we'll see them soon. Chattanooga State. Now, our friend Bart Walker at Northwest Florida State, that's where he had originally coached way back when.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's been a dominant Walters State thing and Dave Craigle for, it seems like, decades.
Yeah.
But Chattanooga is a one-loss team going into the national tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're 35-1. Maybe they got a chip on their shoulder that they've been, locked out for the past however many years. We'll see, but Chat State on their way.
Yeah.
And then these other two teams we talked about from like the first week that I thought maybe would make it, and sure enough, they have. They've kind of taken over that southern part of the United States and Mississippi Gulf Coast, and Pearl River. So that's going to be interesting to see how they do and how, if they can advance. And so best of luck to those teams that are brand new into this thing or have been long awaiting, But as I said, Hutch, they're there. The Valley, they got in as an at-large. Gulf Coast got in, of course. Eastern Florida State from Florida. Chipola got snubbed. Didn't finish really well in that semifinal round in Florida. They got beat up pretty good against Gulf Coast. Wabash, they're there as usual. And I'm talking off the top of my head, but I know that New Mexico is an at-large that they got in as well.
Pearl River, Dodge City got in.
Yep.
Eastern Arizona.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Eastern Arizona got in as an at-large bid. This is difficult, right? Like this is difficult because, like we talked about before, this is your complete body of work, right? but we got some teams that sat in the top 10 for a large part of the season. Like my heart hurts for Chipola because I feel like they really made some major adjustments, got some people healthy, really got the ball rolling, and then they don't get in. But
Yep.
it's hard, but and then you just gotta wait a whole year.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And like you said, we could go through every selection and everybody's going to feel like somebody didn't get in that should. But I
That's
think it's
always
going
the
to
case.
be, yeah, and I think it's going to be a great tournament. We got some really good some good matchups. If we want to talk real quick about some of the first round matchups.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we got Cochise and Chattanooga State will play first round. Trinity Valley and Monroe College out of New York, they'll play first round. Pearl River, Eastern Arizona will match up. Southern Idaho and Connor State will match up. And then on our other side of the bracket, this will be interesting. East Georgia State and Dodge City. Yeah, so that'll be good. Then we have Eastern Florida State, North Dakota State, and then Casper, Wyoming. Glenn has the opportunity to play the hometown crowd, so that'll be fun. And then you got Three Rivers and Mississippi Gulf Coast. And then you always have the teams that have that luxury of having that first round bye, which is Hutch, New Mexico, Collin, Gulf Coast, and Shelton State, Northwest Florida, Odessa, and Wabash. So it's going to be a great tournament. I really think it's going to be like, I don't see somebody that's just like
I don't either.
Like
That's what
a
we've been talking about.
Yeah, like
parity thing. I mean, there's going to be some upsets.
Yep.
There's going to be some buzzer shots. There's going to be some overtime games.
Yep.
This is going to be really interesting to see who determines who's going to really be our national champion this year.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be great.
I'm excited to go.
So am I. I'm excited to watch. I won't be able to go, but
yeah,
I'm excited.
I'll be there for you.
Okay.
I'll be there for you. Look, when we come back, Kenya, we've got two special guests on our hot seat. A guy named Michael Landers that I think you know, who's the current athletic director at Navarro Junior College there in Texas. And then Keuna Flax, NJCA tournament MVP, Trinity Valley Lady Card. We're going to talk about the national tournament and what they would do to prepare. And of course, you've got some say in that matter as well. When we come back on NJCA Hot Hoops, we're going to have those two on our hot seat.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
We're back with NJCAA Hot Hoops. And man, we have two special guests today. Delighted to have two Trinity Valley Lady Cards, Michael Landers, former head coach of the Trinity Valley Lady Cardinals, Keuna Flax, a super with the Cards. And Kenya, what more can I say? You know?
We say the best for
the
last.
family.
We say the best for last around here.
Exactly. Anyway, yeah, we're on the cusp of this national tournament.
Mhm.
Man, it's getting down to crunch time, and I'm currently at the Division II tournament in Missouri. And
Mhm.
so, getting good fill of basketball for the last couple of days, So welcome both to the show. Glad to have you here. And Kenya, let's knock it out of the park.
Let's
Go
do
right
it.
ahead.
This show will be probably one of the easiest shows that we've done. Now we have had, I say best for last, and I really want to correct myself in that we have had some fantastic coaches
Yeah.
on our show
Every
this
week.
year. Every week, we have knocked it out of the park. You've done such a good job with finding high caliber coaches within the NJCAA. But I will say just this show really focusing on the NJCAA national tournament and really focusing on what it takes to get there and how do you perform while you're there. And so for, Trinity Valley has been it's been a constant at the
Yeah.
JUCO national tournament. We've talked about this program and everything that it's done, but while we do want to, this hot seat segment, we have Michael Landers. I may know him just a little bit. And then we have Keuna Flax, who's here with us. I feel like I have watched her grow up since she was like 14 years old. And so today's a great day. We wanted to, have you guys on the show today to just talk about your experience in junior college. Coach Landers, you've coached many years at Trinity Valley from 2000 to 2010, correct me, and then 2012 to 2014, if I have that correct. I should know that. If I don't, I'm sorry.
You were actually close.
I was actually close, dang. And then Keuna Flax, who was a Lady Card, a Valley girl from 2000.
10, 12.
Yes, 12, because I came in 10.
2010 to 2012. And so, Coach, we're gonna start out with you. We want you to talk a little bit about your experience and what it takes year in and year out to get to this point in the season. And then we also want you to just share a little bit about Keuna Flax and the impact that she had on the program, the 2 years that she played for us, and then just talk about what she did at the national tournament that just made it a success. So let's just start with, your background at TVCC, Coach Landers, and how long you were there and your experience and why you love JUCO basketball.
Well, thanks for having me. Obviously, with two of my favorite people, Dano and then his co-host, who I really like, and then one of my favorite lady cards of all time, Keuna Jelly Roll Flax. I'll go ahead and get it out. This is the absolute best time of the year. Like, this is what, like, you get to school in mid-August, late August, and your coaches are talking to you from day one about, we got to get to the national tournament. And so, those teams are now at that point. And so it's a long season. You literally, coaches will lie and say they're not cheating, but everybody starts practicing the first day of school, and you practice literally for 7 months to get to this week. So it's an absolute great time of year. The national tournament's interesting. You're going to have some teams that are going to be in Casper, which obviously I've never been there. I'm interested to see how it goes there the first year, but you're going to have some teams that are just excited to be there. And literally they've reached their goal is just to get to the national tournament. They're going to play their one game. They're not worried about the outcome, win or lose. They're going to be excited just to be there. But then you've got a handful of teams who are prepping this week to win the national tournament. And that is their goal. They're not going to be happy about second. They're not going to be happy about, winning 3 games and going home. Their goal is to win the national championship. It's the hardest tournament in college basketball to win because you're going to play 4 games in 5 days, or some of them are going to play 5 games in 7 days. Yeah. And literally, the years I was there, you're playing a 7 o'clock game. You get back to the hotel at 9:30. You had a chance to win, and you advance. And so after you feed your team, you try to get them calmed down and get them back into their rooms. And then you're breaking down film for the next 4 or 5 hours because you play again the next day. And you've got to have a scouting report done by breakfast on your next opponent. And, you can't look forward to 2 games from now. You got to focus one day at a time. And that was something I learned in my very first trip to Salina. I was young and dumb, and now I'm just old and dumb. But back then, we went into it and we had a chance, I thought, to win the national championship. And back then it was different. It was 16 teams and you played out a consolation bracket.
Right.
Well, we were looking at the bracket and the finals that I thought, was going to be for the national championship. And, we had a good matchup, I thought, getting to there. And then we screwed up and we forgot to win the first game. And so it was taken away. And that was something that I learned luckily early in my career is, and this is what I tell the coaches all the time, like literally they're playing for the national championship in round 1, because if you don't win the first day, you don't get to play for it. And so you've got coaches and teams that have to have the mentality of all 4 days or all 5 days that they're playing, they are playing for the national championship that day. And so it's a special tournament. Some of my best memories are with our teams in Kansas. We were fortunate to go a number of times. We went in 2011, got beat in the national championship by North Idaho, and they were extremely good. We had a great team. They were just better than us that day.
Another head coach, another coach's wife duo. We thought
yes.
Yeah.
And I think Keuna will probably tell you this. I don't know if she still got it. I know it's wrapped in her mind. Literally, we got home from Kansas, and the next week we went #SPS, which is that second place sucks, and that was our mission. That was our mission for 12 months, was to get back and win it. 2012, our team was really, really good. We had a lot of really good players, a lot of pieces that fit, a lot of kids that were just worried about winning. They knew they were going to get opportunities. And that's one of the best experiences of my career. We marched through the first 3 rounds. We played Hutch, who was also 37-0, I think. And we're playing in Salina, Kansas, and they've got about 4,000 in the stands. And we dedicated the court to Coach Butke before the game. There was no doubt in my mind we were going to win. And we came out, and it was 2 heavyweights. And this young lady right here, Flax, comes out and hits 3 threes in the first 5 possessions. We go up 14-4 within about 3 minutes, and the entire energy in the crowd was gone because we hit them with 2 or 3 haymakers. They fought back, but there was no doubt we were going to win that game. And Keuna Flax, obviously, she was the tournament MVP and an All-American for us. But we had so many great players that made that championship come to life because of what all they put in.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good stuff.
That's great stuff, man. It's like I wasn't there. That's a good story.
I'm jacked up just listening to it, That's awesome.
I must say, I wish I could have played with y'all.
The time.
Yeah.
Wow, Coach, that seriously, that brought back some memories. I was saying you have a much better memory than I do when it comes to details. So now that brings us to you, Keuna. Talk to us about, obviously you came out of high school, you went to Haltom City High School, where you're now working.
Awesome.
I'm so very proud of you back at your roots. You had the best, high school coach. That she is just like one of the best humans that I know. And she loves her players and takes care of her players. And so you are back at Haltom. But talk to us about, came out of high school, was supposed to head to Oklahoma State, but things went differently. I actually recruited you to Oklahoma State. And then I was so happy to get the phone call to come and pick you up and bring you to the Valley.
Everything.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Everything happened full circle.
Everything happened full circle. Yes, ma'am. And so, so talk to us just about, your experience at Trinity Valley and how it wasn't easy. It was not an easy experience. Coach and I both saw you grow from a little girl. You left there as a woman, and so just talk about that experience and what it meant to you to be a Valley girl.
Well, first and foremost, I think going to Trinity Valley was something that I needed. I'm glad that that happened in my life because I was injured the majority of my career at Oklahoma State. So the moment I got that opportunity to actually play, I told myself that I was going to fulfill that. And Trinity Valley couldn't have been a better place. I mean, you had a team full of elite players and a coaching staff that was just as much elite too. So that really helped us out a lot. It's hard to keep yourself motivated, keep your team motivated when you're winning all the games. You're trying to figure out like, hey, okay, we've done everything, but we all knew what the end goal was. It was to get to a national champion and win it. So I definitely enjoyed that. JUCO life is underrated. A lot of people don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes. I mean, we work just as much as any division. Trinity Valley has a winning culture, championship culture, and we all had the mentality to be champions, and we pushed ourselves. And I enjoyed every bit of it. I'm getting the goosebumps because it's bringing me back, and I just miss it so much. But yeah, and I think how my career played out at Trinity Valley, how it ended, was something that God did. I think that was all him up above, because I had the chance to play with Coach Bucky and Coach Cern at the time, and for them to name the court after them, and we be in the national championship playing. That was a moment that you won't get from a lot of people. Playing 4 games, the national championship experience was awesome because we knew it was win or go home. We weren't going home. We didn't get 36-0 to go home. So that right there, we already had our mindset on what we needed to do. And I had an opportunity. We had an opportunity, and I knew that I was going to, do my job. And that's how that happened right there.
Yeah, Keuna, that was, man, memories, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so talk about your experience from the year before, coming up short, and then talk about because there was and Coach Landers, you can speak to this too. There was definitely a shift with you between your freshman and your sophomore year. Which is not completely abnormal, young ladies grow up, but talk about just your hunger and your desire to just be the best and not have that same experience again as we entered into the national tournament, because there's a different focus, right? There's a different sense of urgency. So just talk about, how there was a shift, if there was, or how your mindset changed so that there would be a different outcome at the national tournament.
Well, since I wasn't able to play because I just came into Trinity Valley, so I had to sit and watch.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see everything. I got to see behind the scenes. I got to practice too, and you don't really know that feeling until you're actually in that moment. And that feeling was not something that I enjoyed at all. And I felt the need to take it up another notch. And I felt like me coming into this team, I felt like I could be a piece that could help us out tremendous. If I would have played that year, I feel like we probably would have had a way higher chance of winning that. But I think for the most part, it's just when you go through a lot, when you go through adversities and you go through injuries, and you kind of sit back and understand, you don't take it for granted. And that's kind of what I had. I never took anything for granted. And it was just a great experience for me. So
Coach Landers, talk about like we said, Keuna was not with the team her first year, as she came in, late in the year. But like she said, she did get a chance to observe and she did get a chance to watch. And she was obviously huge in practice and did a lot of things. So tell us about how adding, her dynamic and what type of player was she? Obviously she has many, many layers to her game, but what was it about her that made her so special that she could take that team, put it on her back, and be the MVP of the national tournament? Because that in itself, like, that's a beast. Like, to be an MVP of that tournament with those caliber of players. I mean, we had some ballers on our team, period. But then just to talk about all the other athletes that were there, just what made her game so special?
Well, I think that, she came in at Christmas the year before, and so she was with us the whole spring, practicing, going to all the games. She's on the bench, and she was
Best
completely,
hype man. Best hype
yeah,
man.
she was
Yeah.
completely invested in our team. And so
Yeah.
when we lost in 2011, she may not have been playing, but she felt that loss. We all felt it. And I think that, it comes from failure. And when you fail, you have to feel that pain of failure, and that leads to success later on. And it was kind of a joke about SPS, but SPS was real, because that reminded us of that failure for an entire year. And so days that they didn't want to practice, I laughed earlier. She said she loved every day at Trinity Valley. No, she didn't,
No, you
because there was
didn't.
days they all hated it.
There was days I hated it.
But I think that's what was the driving force, is we reminded them of what that night in 2011 felt like. And that's what allowed you to push through. I will say this in terms of what kind of player Keuna was. There's a lot of players that are really talented. She could shoot it. She could rebound. She tried to play defense. That's that. All right.
Yeah, good.
Could pass. She had a really high basketball IQ, and there's a lot of people that have some of those skill sets. But the thing about Keuna's a winner. Like, she's got a winning mentality. And if she knows her team needs, we need to clear up on the glass, when she's going to go down and she's going to try to find a way to get every rebound. If she knows we need to score inside, she's going to go down and post up. If she needs buckets, she's going to get buckets. If she knows that, we had the National Player of the Year on that team, Shakayla Caples, who was a machine.
Woo.
And days that Kay was on fire, and Keuna just played off of her and fed her the rock, and then she'd go clean up all the misses and just do whatever. There's a reason why she's a MVP of the national tournament, an All-American. She was an All-American at Central Missouri. She's in the Hall of Fame at Central Missouri. She's in the Hall of Fame at Trinity Valley. You don't do that unless you're a winner. And she, I like, all the credit to her, because, I said at the beginning that, to me, she got that nickname in 2011. She has it to this day. I called her Jelly Roll, because when we got her from Oklahoma State, she was she's Charles Barkley, the round mound of rebound.
That's true.
But she knew what she needed to do, both with her game and with her body. And she transformed her body while she was at Trinity Valley, working in the weight room, getting extra conditioning in, because she wanted to be the best that she could possibly be. And just like what I say about her, she's a winner. Like, whatever it takes, she's going to find a way for her team to be successful.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Those are all facts. I mean, but we had a coaching staff that held us to high expectations and pushed us to beyond our limits. So without a coaching staff, then, because that's where it starts, we wouldn't be where we went. So
Yeah.
It
I
started with
remember that game, when you played, and watching you play, Keuna. You were like one of my all-time mismatch producers in JUCO off the wing.
No question.
Tough matchup, delivered off the baseline, strong, physical, but deceptive with her speed. You were enjoyable to watch.
Thank you for that.
So, little known fact, Dan, we finished the year 36-0 and undefeated. we're about 23 or 24-0, and we're at Tyler in the conference game, and we did not play well. But we are down 2 with about 15 seconds to go. We call timeout. We run a play called Jazz. We had two options. We were going to run UCLA high post screen with Keuna screening for Shakayla. Shakayla was going to roll off of it and then come out the backside. And so Keuna back screens and then pops, catches the ball. She's got the option to either shoot the 3 or look for Shakayla on the backside. Well, for some reason, they decided not to cover her. So she sets the back pick, pops, catches wide open, drains a 3. We end up winning by 1. And I mean, it didn't affect us winning conference, but it kept our undefeated season intact.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Special
remember that.
moment.
I remember Kay saying, just act like you're at Hawthorne. You're just, this is like, and that's exactly what I heard. And that's exactly what I did, executed. So thank you, Coach K. I appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. But like we could talk about so many different, like we didn't have a ton of close games. I mean, we didn't, but we could talk about so many times where it was time for a play to be made, and just through, like Coach said, your high basketball IQ and your desire to win, either it wasn't always you that made the play, but I felt like you were always a part of the play. You were always a part of the things that happened. So, okay, JUCO national champion, MVP. Then you, like Coach Lander said, you head and go to Central Missouri, which, gosh, what a great career you had there. Talk about how the grind, the expectations, the very, very difficult time, because it's not easy to be a Valley girl. It's just not. Just the way that we worked, and the way that that everything that we did when it came to how we acted in the classroom, your coaches walking around, looking through the window, oh yeah, she's in class today. Just the high level of expectations. Talk about how that mold that you had for a year and a half, how that carried on with you to your next stop at Central Missouri, and then how it's carried on with you for life.
Oh, winning a national championship just gave me a whole nother mindset. When I went to Central Missouri, that's all I wanted to do. I wanted another one. So what I tried to do is, put that work in practice and lead my other teammates so they can know what it feels like to work hard and get to that position. Mm-hmm. Central Missouri was something that it was a great league. It was a great conference for me to be in because there was great competition, and I got to play with my former teammate Brianna Lewis. So two national champions playing together, we were able to, try to get that winning culture, championship culture, try to get that mindset to everybody, and they bought in. We bought in. We fell short, but we had some of our best seasons we had at UCM. But that, like I said, being national champions just it gives you a whole nother mentality. You should do your best at every and anything, and you try to lead others. And that's what I try to do in my daily life, whether it's my 6 nephews, my high school students. Is all I want to do is be successful and lead. And that's what that does. It gives you a whole nother mentality. So.
Yeah, kind of give us a walkthrough. A lot of these young women that are walking in your shoes like now, preparing for a national tournament, going into the unknown. Was there anything that varied from the norm for you going into a national tournament? Or was it static at just the same thing, the same regiment? What did you do? Anything different or not? Just elaborate on that.
I think that I kept it. It was just a different stage, and we were playing for a national championship. But my preparation, it stayed the same. If I was going to do anything, I was going to go harder. But it was just focus, understanding all the work you put in, all the practices that you put in, all those hard practices and hard times. it'll all work out. And that's what I kept telling myself. Like, you didn't get here for nothing. There's a reason for everything. You put the time in, you put the work in, you will get something out of that. And so that's what I stayed with in the nationals. I just tried to stay focused, and I was zoned. I was in a whole nother zone. So I knew what our end goal was. There was this goal, and I wanted to get there. So that's what I just stay focused, know your work, know your hard work, know what you put in the work, and you'll be fine.
Kenya, Michael, what about you two as a staff, coaching in a national championship tournament? Anything that you would do different, or were you the same model all the way through?
I'll let you go first, Kenya.
Well, for me, your staff is everything. And we had a great staff. Everybody knew their role. Things that were happening behind the scenes, with our assistant coaches, just making sure that our players were ready all the time. Whether it was just little side conversations, or it was watching extra film, or it was just keeping them mentally prepared. I mean, at the dorms, just being around the kids and making sure that they were, sometimes our assistant coaches will hang out at the dorms just so our players wouldn't get in trouble, and so those are things, I did as an assistant coach. I hung out in the dorms way more hours than I wanted to, but that's just the role that you play. And when you have coaches that understand that and that know that and that understand the value in that, that's huge. And I know me, me as a head coach, Trinity Valley was my first stop in sliding one seat over. And so just having that experience, but having the opportunity to have that experience at a place that I understood, like I understood Trinity Valley, was made it a lot better for me. Michael and I, we were co-head coaches, and it takes some time. Well, we had nepotism. I was a head coach. So no, I'm just playing. But it takes some time for to understand that dynamic. And so I feel like after about 6 months, 6 to 7 months, we got it under our belt and understood how that process would work for us. And I know I had I always thought of what's the best for our players. What's what's the best way that we can have our players to be able to be who they are, play the game that they know how to play, but within our system that we know and we believe in. So I know that our second year, we did a very good job of making some adjustments that weren't necessarily Valley basketball. The signature game for Trinity Valley was, before I played, in the 90s, early 90s, it was you press 40 minutes and you push the basketball, and it was just an up and down pace game. Well, we made some adjustments that were very, very different. We played some zone. We did some half court traps. We did some things that were different, but we did some things that were best for our team. And so in that, just kind of bending, now I don't want to say bending, but adjusting and being flexible and playing and game planning to what's best for your team. For us, that was what put the feather in our cap and allowed us to be successful our second time around.
That's true.
Michael, anything?
I think in terms of the national tournament, my philosophy was always just to keep it simple. And I think that the teams that are going up this week or going up next week to play, the saying is be a master of or what is it? Be a master of one trade, not a jack of all. And figuring out what you do well and focus on those things, because you're going to play 4 or 5 different opponents. Well, you can't have, obviously you tweak your game plan, but you need to be more worried about your team and what you do well and having them adjust to you. You can't throw your identity away just because you think, playing a certain way is going to be better against this opponent. Make that opponent adjust to you. Because you've got to make sure your kids believe in what you're doing. And if you change everything you're doing from one game to the next, your kids are going to have a doubt in their mind of wait a minute, what we normally do is not going to work in this game. What's the problem? And I think making sure your kids believe in themselves and believe in your system, that gives you a head start on the scoreboard before the game jumps.
Yeah. Yeah, another
Good stuff.
So the national tournament, like we all had different roles on our staff, like we talked about, and Coach Landers played his role to a T. And then my role, was, and especially at the national tournament, making sure that everybody was okay and prepared, and in a good spot mentally. And to just tack on to what Coach said, once we got there with what we had. Like he said, our kids at that point were masters in making game adjustments. They just really understood what it was that we were trying to do, because we did stay consistent with our system. But when we did something and just made a little flip-flop here and there, it didn't blow their mind, because they were such students of the game, and they watched film and they understood. So while we played some tough basketball opponents in Kansas, I knew once we got there, like, it was ours. Just at another level of preparation, they were at another level of focus, and they just had a different look in their eyes.
I think from the public standpoint, from my perspective, knowing going in there, Trinity Valley's there. Oh yeah, you better have your A game to play them, and something special's got to happen in order for them to lose. And but it was always an exciting time for me. I know of all those Trinity Valley teams, virtually every time I even went to practices, come and visit there in Athens, it was a special time for me, and memories, good stuff, and this was really, I think, a good mental thing for a lot of these coaches that are maybe going into the national tournament, blind. They're not ready for it, or maybe they've gone 1 year, Michael. But, to learn and hear from what you just had to say, and Keuna from a player's perspective, all three of you really shared different types of things that maybe could help them prepare moving forward. So really good stuff.
Oh yeah. Trust the process, man.
Well spoken.
Absolutely.
Kenya, anything else?
No, I just thank you guys for being on today. Like I said, this is a great, contribution to our show today. It is tons about the national tournament, what it takes, and what it's gonna feel like, when they get there, and going to be in Casper, Wyoming this year. So that will be fun and interesting. But we're just excited about having the opportunity to watch the national tournament this year. We have some really good caliber teams that are going to be there. But, we just thought having two people on the show today that had great success in NJCA women's basketball as player and as coach. We thought it would just be a great way to kick off the national tournament. And we just thank you guys for taking the time out to be on the show with us today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you all for the exposure you guys are giving NJCAA. So I appreciate that. We need it, and they deserve it.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Love you, Jelly Roll.
Love you too, Coach. Love you. Thank you all.
Keuna Flax, Michael Landers, Trinity Valley fame. Thanks for being on NJCA Hot Oops.
Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Okay, we're back. Our closing segment of the day, our last show of the year. And we have got some interesting names to throw at people that have been longtime watchers of the show. Kenya, I was in I was in Niceville this past week for a few days. I sit down at my seat. I have someone come up to me and start talking to me and said, I can't get enough of NJCAA hot hoops.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. John McAllister, a Panama City guy, a longtime Gulf Coast fan,
That is awesome.
went out of his way. I told him that he was probably just watching because of you. He agreed.
I don't
And,
think so.
but we've got fans everywhere, I guess.
That is
We're starting to just really expand ourselves. Yeah. So
I love it.
we love it. We love the fan support,
Absolutely.
But let's talk about what we feel were the 10 most impactful prospects players since 2018 that have moved on from JUCO onto the 4-year level. So
talk about how extremely difficult it has to be to only come up with 10 names.
Yeah.
Like, this has to be, it's impossible, right?
Yeah.
And so before we get there should have been, like, we know there could be 50, right? There
Yeah.
could be so many.
Yeah.
But these are 10 solid
These
names.
are legit prospects now.
Yeah.
And they've proven themselves. They've put up some impressive numbers and accolades throughout their years.
Yep.
And it doesn't necessarily minimize them if they went 2 years versus 1, but we're also talking about their future as what they've done after they've left that junior college scene. So let's start with the 10th player, Sakia White, Jones County, Mississippi Junior College.
Mm-hmm.
She was a transfer from North Alabama, was the rookie of the year in that league, and went to Jones County. Missy Bilderback was building a monster program at Jones.
Yep.
She was the 22 first team All-American at NJCAA All-American. Put up 16 in around 12. Has the tournament record for rebounds in the tournament was 73 and had 25 rebounds against New Mexico.
That's work now. That is work.
She's currently at Florida State playing Florida State's and a tournament team, powerful ACC program, not getting a lot of numbers, but 2.5 and 3.5 rebounds. But that just goes to show you how really, really talented some of these women are playing collegiate,
Yeah.
Number 9, Sakima Walker. She's a recent entry because she was the last year's national tournament MVP at Northwest Florida State. Started her life at Rutgers, and then she moved on to Northwest Florida State and is now at South Carolina. So she's in a pretty good place right now, you'd think, right?
No doubt.
Yeah. Put up 16 and 8 while she was the player of the year in the NJCAA at Northwest Florida State. And she's currently averaging 3 points a game at South Carolina. But she's playing behind some pretty good front court people,
Absolutely. But
Camila Cardoso to be
she had a big
specific.
opportunity. She had a big opportunity a couple weeks ago, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
had to play the last minute, so
Yeah.
you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Be ready, especially on that team.
Yep.
Let's go to number 8.
One of
Last
my favorite
year
players.
forward.
One of my
Yes.
favorite players. Yeah.
Another product of Northwest Florida State.
Oh,
You know, if people aren't watching women's college basketball, then they wouldn't know who Last Year Poa is, but she's the combo guard that's right there in the thick of things at LSU right now.
yep.
You know, played at Northwest, was the MVP in the national tournament in 2021. Won a national title last year in 23 with the LSU Tigers.
Yep.
Let's
What
move
about
on to
her leading the NCAA with charges taken this year with like 62?
was she
Is that
issue real? I
wild?
did not know that.
Yes. Yes, that is wild.
Yeah, that's she's tough. She's tough, and to do that, she got to be tough.
Yeah. Uh, well
One of-
wishes to her. She's out on a concussion, so hopefully she'll be able to get back and
Let's hope for
play.
the best. Yeah.
Yeah, in the SEC championship game, she went out on a stretcher.
Yeah, you're right. I remember now.
Yeah, she's making good progress. Of course, I keep up because she's one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah.
But she is making really good progress, and hopefully she'll be back for the
Well, the best to her. I hope she is too.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
What an exciting time of the year coming up.
Yeah.
Currently, even right now. How about Alexis Tolfree, one of my favorite players I've seen in a while. Jones County, Mississippi. Wow, this kid's playing overseas in the Euro League right now, but she put up 21 and 3 rebounds at Jones County as a sophomore. Was an NJCAA All-American, went on and played at Arkansas, was All SEC in 2020. This kid can play. She can hoop. She can put it in a hole. Tough to guard. Really, really fun player to watch.
Yeah.
You know, for a 5'7" guard. So, all right, now we're starting to get into some really interesting players here coming up. So, Alana Smith, she started her career at UCLA,
Yep.
transferred to Gulf Coast, was 20 points and 5 rebounds at Gulf Coast in the 2020 year, was the 2020 NJCAA Player of the Year, and then went on to Louisville. So a big guard, 5'11", was a mainstay for Rooney Scoville's team that year at Gulf Coast, and one of the better guards that we've seen in the last 5-6 years. Now, I mean, these last 5, I mean, throw them in a hat, you know.
Yeah.
The first player is interesting because Star Jacobs is still playing.
Yes.
She's at Arkansas Pine Bluff, but she's putting up numbers, okay? But she's been around a little bit. She's been around different places, but she was an NJCAA All-American at Temple, Texas Junior College in 21. Then she went and she was the Sun Belt Player of the Year at Troy, at Detroit, I think. No, was she at Troy? I don't believe. No, UT Arlington.
Arlington. Yeah.
And then she moved on to Pine Bluff, but Sun Belt Player of the Year in 23. She's putting up 19 and a half, 8 rebounds. Was an 18 and 8 player at Temple. Kind of one of these wing players that was a tough matchup. Really good in pressure defense, you know, category type things, you know. But Star Jacobs, really one of the 5 best, I would say, that I've seen in JUCO.
Hey, that Arkansas Pine Bluff team is for real.
Yeah.
With her, Zay Green.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
they
Duncanville product.
go. The Duncanville product, they can go. They are fun to watch. Yeah.
Here's another player that's fun to watch. Alexis Dye, a bouncy 6'6" forward, played at Gulf Coast 2 years, was NJCAA or Player of the Year, or excuse me, MVP of the tournament in 2019. Had 15 and 9 in that final game. And then she went on to Troy. She was the Sun Belt Player of the Year in 21, had 39 double doubles.
Miss Double Double.
And then she moved on and went to Tennessee and play.
Yeah.
You know, Alexis Dye was a pogo stick type player, quick off her feet, all around the rim. She was money around 5 feet and in. One of the best front court players that come through,
Yeah.
Natasha Mack, only played 1 year, I think, at Angelina, and really wasn't like a impactful. She was a second team All-American that year, but was the player of the year by the WBCA. So she wasn't a slouch by any means, you know. But then she goes to Oklahoma State and she gets crazy, okay? Puts up 17 and 13 in 2020, and then 18 and 13 in 21. A mainstay for Oklahoma State, Jim Littell.
Yep.
Wow. You know, that kid really developed. They must have really enhanced her game there.
Yeah,
during
if you
that
know
time.
anything about Jim Littell, his player development it's off the charts. She was a post
One of the
player
best.
too, right?
He's one of the best.
She was a post player too, right?
6'3".
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yep.
he
And
can
she was from
develop.
right there in Lufkin too. She was right there near Angelina College. That's where she grew up.
Crazy.
Sierra Johnson, Shelton State Community College. This kid has got one speed, but she's under control of that speed, you know, and was a first team All-American, 2018 Player of the Year in JUCO, average 11 and 5 at Alabama as she moved on from her Shelton career, but really one of the electrifying guards that you'd seen in JUCO over these last, say, 5 years.
Yeah.
Sierra Johnson was one of them, you know. Someone kind of similar, but smooth, Shayla Bennett at Gulf Coast Community College. The player of the year in 2018, won the national title at Gulf Coast in 2017. I sound like a repeater, you know. 12 points, 4 rebounds, almost 5 assists at North Carolina, where she moved on. Shayla Bennett was from that Carolina area and played 2 years at Gulf Coast, was a tremendous player for Rooney Scovel there at Gulf Coast. And then last but not least, Tiana Jackson from Trinity Valley via Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
6'5" center, a swatter, a block shot artist, who was the rookie of the year in Region 14 for Trinity Valley. And then she just started doing bigger and better things, I guess, after she had her indoctrination as a lady card. 12 and almost 11, 3 blocks in 23. She was first team All Big 12 and was the MVP of the WNIT in 2023. And that's not a bad career so far for her.
No, not at all.
No.
Where did she end up going? I can't remember in the Big 12.
Kansas.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, with
And
Brent.
so, wow, you know, you got a Trinity Valley player in there, you got an Angelina player in there. Then you got a couple of Gulf Coast players in there, a couple of Jones County players in there. And then you got a couple of Northwest Florida, you know, these teams that are vying for national championships. Well, they've done their recruiting.
Yep,
you know?
absolutely.
And the proof is right there. They've brought some of the nation's elite that have moved on to the 4-year level. And it's been a fun ride to see those players, you know, compete and develop and really prosper into their 4-year career and even into their professional career, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so there you have it, our top 10. And we may have made mistakes along the way, but that's what we got,
Nope.
you know?
Perfect.
Yeah. So, anything else to add, Kenya?
Man, what a great year. What a great season.
Yeah.
You know, remember when we first started looking at it, we were like, wow, this is gonna go all the way till March. This is gonna be long, but it has flown by.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun. So thankful to the NJCA for wanting to Pub Women's Basketball. It's been such an honor
Mm.
to do this show with you. It's been so much fun.
Likewise.
And I just want to wish all the teams that are going to the national tournament, Division I, and the ones that are already playing the Division II, good luck. To the Division ones that haven't started yet, just do what you do. Don't recreate the wheel. Leave it
Mhm.
all out there and have a good time.
Well said, Kenya.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being here with us on NJCA Hot Hoops for the year. We've had a great time, and keep following us as we move forward, and we'll see you next season on NJCA Hot Hoops.